AFTV, Dan, you was at the game. You made your way down to the studio. Give me your thoughts.
That to me proves that we have a team that wants it and a team that doesn't want it. And unfortunately, it's the same team. I don't know what one's going to turn up. Tonight, I saw a team that was very similar to the one that started against Manchester City. And I didn't see any fight or drive. We were second to every ball. We were lacklustre with passing. I thought personally, most of our back four, all of our passes were astray. Ben White in the first few minutes couldn't put a pass. I thought he had the wrong boots on, Ben White. I see Gabriel just smashing it up there. Tierney a few times. He was probably the best of the back five, but just smashing it up there. There was nothing for that. There was no need for it. I love Tomiyasu, but that was a terrible game. Was he not fit? I mean, I'm looking at some of these players thinking that must be the answer because it was a completely different 11 from the Manchester City one that showed the intensity and the tenacity that I saw. I really was expecting that Turkish because I looked at the team and I thought, I'm happy. I'm really happy with that, yeah? Thomas Partey's the only one out and we know why because he's only just come back. Thomas Partey comes on, he's now out of 2 cups in 2 days. Yeah. I mean, it is unbelievable. Another player sent off, yeah? So I looked at that and I thought to myself 2 questions. We need to control our midfield and we need a centre forward. And apparently the transfer window is open. It's 20 days in and nothing has happened. We're getting rid of players. Now that to me tells you right there, that performance, that Liverpool controlled that game because we had nothing in midfield and we could not kill off any chances that we created. We had an unbelievable chance from Lacazette that ballooned it over. The only player I can come off that can give any credit is Gabriel Martinelli tonight. Everybody else was off the boil for me. Smith Rowe didn't look fit. Every time Saka got the ball and did manage to control it, which was not much tonight, by the way, he could not get anywhere near. We had Liverpool players over one side on Saka and over another side on Martinelli. We need to change it up when that's happening. You can't just let that happen throughout the game. And we didn't see anything to try and change that, in my opinion. So a real disappointing performance and one that I think we can look at and say, actually, in parts of the game, we were dominated from a very good side. I think we have to give credit to Liverpool tonight in certain areas of the game. But we need to have something in this squad that when that happens, we have to either bring on from the bench or change up. And we've done nothing in the transfer window, in my opinion, to make that work right. There is nothing that I've seen from the incomings and plan and process of Arteta and Edu since the 1st of January, which we've been crying out for a striker and a centre midfielder. And tonight, that showed that we're desperate for those positions to come in, man.
What do you put there? You mentioned it. I mean, you said it's very similar to the team that faced Man City, a performance that the club received a lot of credit for, including from us too, who's been very pessimistic and critical over the past couple of years. But that performance, albeit a loss, we saw something. What do you put the inconsistency down to? Is it the young players that we're relying upon? Is it a young manager that's inexperienced? Is it a lack of real work done for Edu and Kroenke in the summer? What does this January, not just this match and performance, what does this January tell us? Where is the problem at Arsenal right now?
2 things. We're paper thin as a squad, and we've got a manager and a director of football doing nothing about it currently. So that's what I put it down to, and that's why we've gone out of all of the competitions again. So I don't like the process. I don't like the process. I don't like the ownership. I was really excited when we decided to finally spend some money, but I don't like the way that we've got a young team and a young coach, a young director of football, a young board, and when you have so many youngsters, it's the perfect storm for inconsistency. And what are we seeing from Arsenal right now? Inconsistency, yet again.
And it's hard to trust when there's so many young, inexperienced people in so many positions of importance from top down. You mentioned players, you mentioned manager, you mentioned director of football and upwards. So this is Vinay in that position, he's not the most experienced. Kroenke, as a soccer club owner, as he'd like to call it, he's not experienced in that. He's just a sports franchise owner. But what do we do now moving forward? How do we measure success this season, Dan? I think both of us going into the season didn't expect to get top 4 or be in and around top 4. I remember speaking to you earlier on. But we've been knocked out the League Cup and top 4 is still there. Is Arteta measured, or Arteta and Edu measured by top 4 this season, or would that be unfair of us to essentially move the goalposts a bit halfway through?
A lot of people think top 4 is unrealistic. I don't know why. I don't understand why top 4 is unrealistic when you look at the teams around it that are a shambles. Manchester United are a circus. West Ham have played the most games of anyone, and when everyone catches them up, they'll be back down into 6th or 7th. Tottenham are a shambles of a club, right? The only reason that they have got a chance of top 4 is because they've got a world-class manager, which to me is what we should have, right? Because that would give us a definite chance to cement a top 4 place. So there is no reason why our first 11, when we have a few more players in, can compete for the top 4 and secure it. Because I do not look at the clubs around it and think, we've come sixth this year. That's a great season. Look at how good West Ham, Spurs and Man United are. They're terrible.
Yeah.
So if we do not get top four, it's been a failure of a season. We're out of everything again. For somebody who's won the FA Cup and everyone lauds him for, he likes getting knocked out of cups a lot, don't he? How many times have we lost Olympiacos, Villarreal? We've had Southampton, Nottingham Forest now, and we've got spanked by Man City in last year's League Cup and not turned up in the second leg of this League Cup now. So he likes to get knocked out of a lot of cup competitions, this guy. So that means he has to get top four. If he's not going to take the cups as his credit, he needs to look at the top four now as being a successful season. So for me, the pair of them need to look at himself and say the window is still open. What are we doing? Who do we want? Everybody talks about Vlahovic and talks about Arta. Oh, it's very hard to do in January. Then go and get somebody else because we're depleted. Yeah. If we were in April, I would understand this and say, do you know what? I feel a bit sorry for Arteta and Edu because they're selecting whoever they can. We have to play Lokonga and Patino in midfield against Forest. We have to play today Lokonga and Martin Odegaard or Smith Rowe dropping because we haven't got anybody else. The window is still open, man. You wouldn't know it.
Yeah,
you would not know it. We're getting rid of players. El Neni linked to going. Leno linked to going. Marie already gone. Maitland-Niles, which is a sham to sell him this early, right? We've seen that. Maitland-Niles would have been brilliant for us today and against Forest. It would have given us some athleticism in that midfield. Now we've had Patino and Odegaard having to drop deep, which takes away what he does beneficially for the club, for the team. I'm disappointed by it, mate. I'm really disappointed by this plan, process, whatever you want to call it. There is no plan. Well, this should have been done at the end of the summer. They should have sat down and said, who have we not managed to get in through the door? We're quite light in midfield and we're going to be even lighter when it gets to the African Cup of Nations. Up front, there's issues with Aubameyang now. Balogun, we've loaned out. We need to get somebody in. Why are we loaning players out? The amount of players we've got on loan that could actually do a job here at the moment right now. I don't want them all back. What I'm saying is, if you're happy to let Guendouzi go and let Ainsley Maitland-Niles go and have Torreira stay away and have Balogun go out on loan, Maitland-Niles, then you have to have the players in to replace them. Otherwise, you can't let them go. So this has been really poor, in my opinion, from Arteta and Edu. And I don't care how hard it is to get players in, they need to get them in now, mate.
Yeah, I mean, how many times we heard that excuse over the years? Not just January windows, but summer windows too. It's hard. It's difficult. We have to sell before we buy. There's always an excuse around Arsenal summer,
It's not so hard
January window.
for Villa and Newcastle, though, is it? They seem to be getting players in. So why is it hard for us? Do you know what I mean? It's not a lack of funds. We're apparently trying to build up a massive, massive fee for Vlahovic. So if Vlahovic doesn't want to come, then as much as it might be disappointing, you go in for Isak. If Isak doesn't want to come in, you go for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Then you go for Ollie Watkins. Then you go for Alvin Toney. You need to go and have 5 or 6 strike options for you because your number one guy may not want to come. And it's like that in centre midfield as well. If Wijnaldum doesn't want to come, if Arta doesn't want to come, you look to try and do something else with a Basuma, who apparently is being rumoured of leaving. You try and get Bruno Guimaraes in and tempt him. Whoever it be, Frank Kessie, Zakaria, all these names I'm throwing at you, we all know it. So why can't they just go and make that happen for us? Because we need 2 centre midfielders and 2 centre forwards anyway. So if one of them says no in both positions, you go for the others. For me, it's simple. And people say it's not like FIFA, it's not like Football Manager. We're not asking it to be. This should already be planned by Mikel Arteta and Edu. They should know who their targets are and they should be aware that we are absolute paper thin in centre forward and centre midfield. It's a disgrace, mate.